Divers found a sunken ship deep off the coast of Iceland. When they opened a sealed crate inside, they froze in fear. The shipwreck had first been spotted by sonar weeks earlier. It was lying on its side, half buried in black sand at the bottom of the North Atlantic. A team was sent down with cameras and cutting tools. The wreck was old, possibly from the 1700s, but parts of it were still intact. Inside one of the cargo holds, they found a large wooden crate, tightly shut with rusted chains. It looked untouched. At first, they thought it might hold gold or weapons, but it was too heavy to lift, so they cracked it open underwater. As soon as the lid moved, the water around them turned cloudy, almost like smoke. Inside wasn't gold. It was something black and slimy, wrapped in cloth and sealed with wax. The wax had strange markings on it. None of them had seen anything like it before. One diver reached in to unwrap it, but the moment he touched it, the lights on their helmets started flickering. Their oxygen meters began dropping fast. They panicked, dropped the crate, and swam for the surface. By the time they got back to the boat, one diver was shaking and refused to speak. The crew didn't speak for hours. Nobody dared to ask what had just happened. The diver who'd touched the object stayed on deck, wrapped in a blanket, refusing to make eye contact with anyone. His breathing had gone shallow, like he was in shock. He kept glancing over the edge of the boat, as if he expected something to follow them up from the deep. The others tried to stay calm, but it was clear something had changed. Back in the control room, they reviewed the footage, but the moment the crate had been opened, the camera started to glitch. Frames dropped, static appeared, and the footage became nearly useless. All you could make out was the crate being opened, a sudden burst of clouded water, and then total distortion. Even the audio had failed, replaced by a low humming noise that no one could explain. They assumed it was a technical fault, but their equipment had never failed like that before. By morning, the diver was gone. No one saw him leave. He left behind his wetsuit, his clothes, and even his wallet. It was as if he had just stepped off the boat in the middle of the night and vanished into the sea. A search was launched immediately. They radioed the Coast Guard, sent out distress calls, and used every tool on board to scan the surrounding waters. But there was no trace of him, not a ripple, not a floating glove, nothing. When they searched his cabin, they found something strange. He had drawn something over and over again in his notebook, a circular symbol, two lines crossing through the center, like an eye or maybe a compass, with smaller runes around the edge. Dozens of pages filled with the same shape. Nobody had seen him draw it. It definitely wasn't there the day before. The team was split. Some wanted to pack up and leave. Others, especially the project leader, insisted they stay. He believed the object was some kind of ancient artifact, maybe tied to lost Viking or even pre-Viking cultures. He said they had a duty to continue the mission. Besides, there was still so much of the wreck left untouched, but not everyone agreed. One of the engineers refused to dive again. Another started having nightmares. He claimed he saw a shadow in the water, watching them from a distance during the last dive. He said it didn't move like a fish or anything he'd ever seen. He thought it was intelligent, that it was waiting. 2 days later, against the wishes of half the crew, the lead scientist decided to go back down. This time, they brought heavier equipment, better lights, reinforced tools, and a sealed container in case they came across the object again. They planned to recover the crate properly, bring it to the surface, and study it in a lab on land. But when they returned to the wreck, something was wrong. The crate was gone. The chains that once held it in place were snapped clean, not rusted, broken, like something had pulled from inside. The floor of the ship was torn open. The wooden boards splintered and pushed outward, as if something had left, not entered. They found long scrapes in the metal near the breach, deep, even grooves, like claw marks, not from a tool, or rope, or sea current. Something had carved its way out. Nobody spoke for a while. Then the sonar operator broke the silence. He had picked up something moving in the distance, slowly circling the wreck. It was large, maybe the size of a whale, but the movement didn't match anything in their records. It didn't glide, it pulsed forward, stopping every few minutes, then shifting direction. The leader ordered the team back up. The moment they reached the surface, the boat was pulled 50 meters off course. The anchor chain snapped, the hull creaked, and equipment slid across the deck. The crew scrambled to regain control. When they checked the sonar again, whatever had been circling below was now gone. Back at port, they tried to explain what had happened. The missing diver, the strange object, the crate that vanished, but no one believed them. Not the Coast Guard, not the research institute that funded the dive. The only hard evidence they had was the strange drawing found in the diver's room, and a few minutes of glitchy, corrupted footage. The team was dismissed. The mission ended, but one of the junior crew members, a marine biologist, wasn't ready to give up. Something about the markings on the crate had stuck with her. She'd seen similar patterns before, not in Iceland, but in a book on ancient Mediterranean symbols. It was rare, used by sailors who believed in sealed evils, things locked away under the ocean to protect the surface, not preserve it. She contacted a professor who specialized in ancient sea myths. He listened to the story and then went silent. Finally, he said the symbol she described matched legends from North Africa and parts of Greece, stories about sleeping gods locked in stone and iron, hidden at the edges of maps, not meant to be touched, not meant to be found. That same night, the lead scientist who ordered the second dive died in his home. His body was found slumped over his desk. Cause of death, cardiac arrest. But what was strange was what was on the desk. A piece of driftwood, wet, carved with the same circular symbol the missing diver had drawn. No one knew how it got there. His house was locked from the inside. After his death, the rest of the crew went quiet. They signed NDAs. Most refused to talk about what happened at sea. But the marine biologist who kept digging, she started a blog under a fake name, trying to warn others. One of her last posts before the blog was deleted said this: "It's not about what we brought up. It's about what we woke up." And then, nothing. Her profile vanished. Email stopped working. She never posted again. Weeks later, a fishing boat went missing near the same coast. Found adrift. No crew. Just wet footprints across the deck, leading to the edge and stopping. The Coast Guard called it an accident. But some of the rescue team noticed a strange symbol carved near the boat's mast. Same one. No one has been allowed to dive that wreck site since. But locals say on quiet nights, you can hear something in the water out there. A low hum, almost like it's breathing.